I grew up in New Plymouth. I had one brother and one sister, both older than I, and we were fortunate in that we had parents who believed that education was extremely necessary. And I say fortunate because for Maori at that time often education wasn't even possible. But my parents, my father had had a very good education for someone of his age, and he and my mother both believed that we needed to get on in the world to have a good education. So in 1950, when I was 17 and wasn't sure what I was going to do, but a friend of my brother's had just graduated from physiotherapy at that time, and he was home. He asked me what I was going to do. I had always wanted to do something with history. I'd imagined myself as being an archaeologist, something like that. But then I thought, do Maoris really go around digging up dead things? Because that's what archaeologists did in that day. In those days, they just went around digging up dead things, it seemed to me. And the answer I gave myself was no, so I had to find something else to do. And Laurie had suggested physio, so I went back to school and went to see the headmistress, who had no idea what physiotherapy was because no one had ever been from the New Plymouth Girls High School to do physio. However, they sent away for it and we got the brochures back. And once I saw a photo of the swimming pool at the physio school, I was hooked. That was it. So it was really thanks to the swimming pool that I decided to do physio. And so in 1951 I was accepted and away I went. Never been away from home on my own again. I was 18 but never been away. My parents took me to Wellington, and in those days the planes left from Paraparaumu, so they drove me there from Wellington. We'd spent a night in the city and they drove me out to Paraparaumu, and I hopped on the plane feeling very young, and away I went, and that's how I got into physiotherapy. Went to Dunedin, didn't know anything about anybody, nothing really much about physio either. But I laugh now when I think about my reasons for not being an archaeologist, because I didn't want to dig up dead people. And I think about the first day that we were introduced to the dissection room at the medical school. Nobody had told us what to expect. And so there we were, all these green young people walked into this room, and stretched out on the tables were all of these dead bodies. None of us fainted, but we all grabbed hold of one another. And I laughed about that, not about dead people, but I laughed about my reason for not being an archaeologist, because I didn't want to dig up dead people, and yet here I was cutting them up, which somehow didn't seem to make sense to me. But anyway, I loved the course. I really loved physio. I made some great friends. I was the only Maori in my class there. In fact, probably was the only Maori there for lots of things. But another girl did come in my second or third year there, and she sort of grabbed onto me for a while, but then she learned to make her own friends, and that was fine. But I was fortunate in that this has nothing to do with physio, but it has to do with me as being a Maori. I was fortunate in that somehow the Otago people got hold of me, the Maori people got hold of me, and I was able to play for them in their basketball, what is now netball of course, teams. And I found that most enjoyable, because one needs to, I feel, be with one's own people. I always felt that anyway. Even though it was often difficult to tell they were Maori. And my son did go to Dunedin many years afterwards, and he did ring up and say, "Mum, where are all the Maoris?" And I had to tell him, they are there. They are there. Just walk down the street and they'll find you, because this is what happened to me. But physio itself I really enjoyed, never found it difficult at all. It was something that seemed to appeal to me, I guess. I suppose it could have been because at one time I had considered doing medicine, but I'm always considered that I'm actually quite a lazy person, and the thought of spending all those years to be a doctor didn't really appeal to me at all. So physio was really, quite a good thing for me to fall back on. And as I said, I did make some really good friends, some of whom I'm still in contact with on and off. Mostly more off, I guess, than on, but we do get in touch with one another now and again.